you have to service those customer service leads or the return empties back. I'm like, the math isn't mathing here. So when you start to walk them through it, like, oh, okay. Or a lot of times they're like, do we need to triple my budget? I'm like, no, you just need to answer your phone better. And you're gonna trust what we're recommending you a little bit more. And then from that point, then we can talk about expanding markets, upping your budget, more strategies. Like, let's just fix the basics first.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Behind the Franchise. As always, I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger. Super excited. Found out I'm basically interviewing myself today and getting ready for this call here, talking to David. We've got all the same interests. So,
For sure.
without anything here, David Smith, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul, thank you so much. I appreciate having me today. You're right. It was basically talking to like a separated twin at birth almost.
Yeah. Golf, wine, used to live out in the same areas. There's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But David, no, thanks for joining the show here. So you're with Go Minis. For those who don't know you, who the heck are you? How'd you get to where you are today?
Yeah. So been in the marketing world almost 6 years next month.
Hmm?
Got a degree in marketing down at University of San Diego. And it's interesting talking to like most of my friends post college. I feel like I'm one of the few that actually went into the
Stayed in
field.
marketing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually got a degree in. But as we were talking earlier, I went into wine right after college, and then got my first job with a digital marketing agency, and then leveraged that into the job now with Go Minis. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
been an amazing opportunity. But my entire marketing timeline has been with Go Minis, both on the vendor side as
Yeah.
well as now on the brand side, making that switch. So it's been very cool to see how the brand has kind of grown in that time period.
Yeah, and great place to start there. I think marketing changes fast. Marketing has changed even faster, I would argue, in the last 5 years than most 5 year periods. What has it looked like for you in Go Minis, like, compared to when you walked into where you are today?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's like an old stat that they had like a long time ago where like people didn't trust online reviews the way they do
Sure.
now that they did like maybe 15, 20 years ago. It
Yep.
was only word of mouth. I kind of use that as kind of an anecdote that what's interesting to me is in the 5, 6 years now with this brand, and you look at like just the conversion of like someone coming to the website,
Hmm.
getting a quote, and then like actually booking.
Hmm.
The massive shift that's happened is
Yeah.
no one wants to talk on the phone anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
I think our generation broke that. I think the
yeah,
millennials did it. Yeah.
and I think COVID just juiced that to the max, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why I use that as a review side. I think that took a long time for people to trust online reviews
Mm.
in such a short period of time. We went from, I think it was like 70 to 80% of our total lead volume was phone call dominated, the other 20% text message
Wow.
and online forms. And now it's like 50-50.
Wow.
And in such a short period of time. And that really spiked, I'd say mid 2020, and
Hmm.
really just fell over on a different side, like mid
Yeah.
2021, early 2022.
Yeah.
So that was probably the biggest change for us. So we had to like kind of make some adjustments there to make sure that we're getting ahead of it with the customer
Yeah.
and not banging our head against the wall. Like, why won't they give us a call back so we can book them or talk
Yeah.
them through what they really need or get
Yeah.
them a better discount or whatever it is. So
Tell me about that, because I think that's a non-trivial thing you just said there, right? Like, we had to shift some things. I think easy
yeah.
to say when you're a single brand, much harder to say when you have to make that change across a bunch of franchisees and understand it across a system. What did that look like for you guys? Like, educating the franchisees, probably educating the consumer a little bit, being like, hey, this is the new flow, this is how we are going to engage. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I think it all really stemmed from our CEO, Chris Walls. He had us change from our operating system with another vendor to
Hmm.
our own homespun system
Love
called
it.
GM1, working close collaboration with some developers to create that. And like one simple thing that I think we take for granted today, but we didn't have at the time
Hmm.
was, let's say a customer has been booked, delivery drivers on their way out.
Hmm.
We're all used to someone saying like, "Hey, so and so with your food is on the way," or
Right. Yeah.
this
Uh,
Amazon sent you, we're 10 stops away.
Uber and Amazon have basically made it required that you have to have to-the-minute delivery times.
Exactly. And so we never were able to do that with our previous vendor. Once we moved over to GM1, got some bugs worked out, you know, drivers are able to let the franchise or the customer, excuse me, know we're on our way.
Yep.
They take pictures right within the app itself so
Love
that
it.
we have photo proof that there was maybe no damage done.
Sure.
Because sometimes that kind of happens, someone opened the door too much and scraped their concrete up because we're on
Mhm.
wheels. A lot of other like big brands like Pods and others, they're not on wheels. So once it's
Yep.
on there, it's on there.
Yeah.
So it just allows us to have an easier workflow for the franchisees. Customers
Yeah.
get a much quicker interaction from post sale, pre sale. They can follow up with discount codes over text. It just
Mhm.
allows a much more seamless effect and not having to do just old school phone.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And I think I'm impressed by building out your own operating system. I think that's something not a lot of brands kind of make the pursuit down. I'm curious, like how has that experience been? Because I do think building software sounds great and dandy, and then you realize you have to support and maintain software, which is a very different job than the initial build. So, like, what has the experience been with custom built operating systems?
It's funny because I saw it from two different sides. I saw it when I was
Yeah.
on the vendor side for Go
Yep.
Minis, and like kind of had the same thoughts, like, oh, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And I think there was a lot of doubt going into it from certain key players. But my boss saw like a vision. He's like, I think we can make this work.
I love that.
Start off really basic.
Hmm.
Let's not try and do too much,
Hmm.
and let's just kind of build it from there. And I think in the first year, I think adoption was around like 75%.
That's
So it
great
just
for a
took
first year.
time.
Yeah.
And now I think we've only got a few stragglers that
Hmm.
are not on the system. We actually just integrated that operating system as well with our digital marketing vendor, Scorpion. So
Awesome.
we have all that customer data flowing back from GM1 and vice versa,
Yep.
so that I can now tell a franchisee, hey, you spent X dollars, and from the jobs you've booked from that month, here's what your ROI actually looks like, both from a paid and organic, kind of like that overall
Yeah.
uh, point. And we would never have been able to do that
Yeah.
with the previous vendor we were with until we kind of made our own operating system. So I think it's been a long time to get to where it's been now.
Yeah.
But I think the nice thing about it is that you can spin it exactly the way you want versus something out of the box and try and connect things,
Yep.
webhooks and whatever else. So it's been great. It's been a
Yeah.
really great opportunity.
It is. I feel like it's always a challenge. Like wrangling the data is the big part, right? And then once you understand the data, then it's really just like, okay, when to where and how do we want to display that data, right? It's kind of the game. And I think the way it sounds like you guys are doing it makes a ton of sense to me. It's what we always do with our customers. It's like, what metrics actually matter, and then we can get back to that. You know what I mean? But we have to know where we're going, and then like let's piece it together there. I'm curious with your franchisees, like you're obviously you're a marketer by trade and training. They probably aren't. How much of
Sure.
it does go into like franchisee education where you're like, hey, this is what ROAS is and this is why we care about it, or do you even show them a number like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, how do we translate?
Yeah. Great question. I think it's still in the education phase, no matter what. It's always
Yeah.
because I think that it's so dynamic today with what's
Hmm.
changing,
Yeah.
from local service ads for some industries to
Hmm.
Google's constantly changing SEO and
Yep.
whatnot. Um, it's always an uphill battle from the education standpoint,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I think not my pitch, but my education or the pitch, if you will, has changed so dramatically. Before it was selling services.
Yeah.
Now it's like complementary of those services
Hmm.
and the education that goes ongoing.
Yeah.
Do we talk about ROAS? Not as much. I used to, but I think since we, combined the GM1 operating system with that sales
Just
data,
just pure ROI.
we're looking at ROI
Yeah.
and telling them like, please don't look at, if your total ROI is 11x,
Sure.
but your paid is 3.
Yeah.
Please don't look at that as that it's not doing as well. Because you and they, well, why not? I'm like, okay, well, for example, is maybe this franchisee shut their advertising off late 2020, early 2021,
Yeah.
because COVID was such a boom for our business.
Sure.
What they ended
Makes
up
sense.
having was their inventory was completely gone.
Yep.
We had customers that were renovating their homes because they had nothing better to do
Yep.
and at home, and they're like, well, we should be fixing all of this up. We had restoration, we had normal storage moving, people moving all over the place.
Yeah.
So they're out of inventory. So like their first thing is, well, I should probably stop my marketing right now.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks, month and a half later, they're like, whoa, why did my organic drop like off a cliff as well?
And you're like, it's all combined, guys. It's all one.
Exactly. And so that's when you begin to, not too nerdy, but you have to explain to them, from domain authority, and you're forcing traffic to your site.
Mhm.
Once that stops, Google thinks that you're no longer relevant for those type of searches, and you're
Yep.
going. Google's not happy with you not spending money with them.
Yeah.
So it's
Crazy
all
how
about,
that works, right?
yeah. But the nice thing is, since we connected this, we've seen a massive increase on our franchisees' parts with their investment dollars,
Yep.
because now they have a better understanding that, okay, this really is working. It's no longer feelings based.
Yep.
They can still have feelings.
They will. Everybody does.
Everyone
At the end of the day, money's leaving the pocket, right? That's a hard
Absolutely.
thing to take. Yeah.
But when you're like, hey, cool, my ROI is 12x, I
Yeah.
thought it was nothing just
Yeah.
because the phone isn't ringing during certain months or certain weeks.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, but that first person was an ad 7 months ago. and they didn't book till 7 months later,
Yeah.
and they've clicked on your site like 3 more ads. So like, yes, that adds up,
Yeah.
but just know that it all kind of entangles in it.
Yeah.
And we've even had to show some franchisees that there is the correlation between just because it was an ad once, but they didn't
Sure.
become a lead right away, they can
Yeah.
actually track their journey later on and like, oh, this came in as an organic phone call, but they were
Yeah.
once a paid lead for forms.
Yeah.
And it's like, so that's why you have to like not pay too much attention to just the paid
Yeah.
versus the organic silo and kind of look at it from a holistic standpoint. So
Yeah, I'm always a big fan of. I think it's like it actually is like a big tell to me for a business. Once they understand the levers of their marketing they can pull to kind of control it at the end of the day. Because I think your initial like sophomore view of things is always more leads, always more leads, always more leads. At the end of the day, you couldn't service infinite leads. Like it would literally be a waste of money. And so then it's like
absolutely.
I think once you can start understanding like, hey, paid is going to do this 3 months down the line. Organic has to be a drum beat for this because if we drop off here, it's going to do that. I think that's like such a beautiful level of sophistication to get to, and like getting Z's to that is like pretty impressive, honestly.
Well, thank you. And also too, like, we're I was telling you earlier that this is like a slower time of year for a lot of
Yeah,
brands, particularly for us
yep,
for moving and storage.
makes
Um,
sense. Nobody wants to move when there's 6 inches of snow on the ground in Cincinnati. You
Not
know.
at all, right? And so it's one of those things where they all immediately want to stop spending any money whatsoever.
Hmm.
But you have to say, okay, like maybe we don't need to spend $5,000 a month on paid advertising for
Yep.
certain keywords, but maybe let's do like a couple $100 on our branded keywords so that we're
Yep.
still kind of showing up. We're kind of, still in
Yep.
the good graces of Google. Let's do some retargeted display. Maybe
Yeah.
you want to juice or organic. Let's get some geo pages, local service pages, some posts on
Yep.
social, just so that like when you're coming out of that hibernation mode, going into
Yep.
like the season of like April, May,
Hmm.
you're still on top, people top of their mind. You're
Hmm.
in their inbox, all of it. So that's been an education I think franchises are slowly starting to come around
I
to
love that.
the full cycle.
Yeah. Yeah, and it makes a ton of sense. And I'm curious, I think one thing we've always seen as super powerful for brands is when they do have this data transparency between franchisees. Because I think a lot of the times it's like, oh, I did this and I got this. Is that good or bad? Right. And it's like, hey, actually, you would be doing better. Here's on average if you spend this much or do this many posts or do this many local event activations. This is what you'll see. Do you guys offer that transparency between franchise locations so that they can kind of see how they compare to the system overall?
Yeah, I was just on a phone call with I think he's now technically our largest franchise owner. He owns like 17 different markets across
Oh
the
wow, yeah.
country. And he was like, "Hey, I want to see one other large owner in their
Yeah.
data. I'm going to give him a call if I can listen to their phone calls, what they're doing different than us." And I was like, "You don't need it. He's not going to care. Like, I can just show it to you because I know I have an understanding with that franchisee because
Yeah.
we're such a small system. We
Yep.
have 83, 84 locations.
Yep.
Most of them all know each other by their first names,
Yeah.
and they all have each other's phone numbers. So it's a very cool system. But
Hmm.
yeah, there are a few that I wouldn't just openly share their data with just because
Sure.
it's privacy issues. But most of them are all pretty transparent. They all want to know. We
Yeah.
also send our newsletter. We send it every month. I do like a little leaderboard where I let
Yeah.
everyone know, like, hey,
Leaderboards work, man. It's so simple, but
it
hear me
is
out.
so
You want to
simple.
be on top. I want to be on
Yeah,
top.
absolutely. Or for them too is like, what am I doing differently that I'm not seeing 13x? I'm seeing like 5.
Yeah.
And most of the time, it often comes down to, I'd say now that the transparency with the data
Mhm.
is not so much they're not always spending enough money. That can be part of it,
Yeah.
but it's bottom. Like, how
Yeah.
are you answering your phones? Are you
Yeah.
answering your phone? What's your follow?
Operational execution of it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's really where I try and show the top 10 leaderboard.
Hmm.
I don't let them know what they're spending. I don't let them know what their closing rate is. I show ROI.
Yeah.
And so I think it kind of helps because I get phone calls every now and then and be like, hey, what do I need to do to get at least halfway there or to where they need to be? So
Yeah.
it drives a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree because I think everybody has a very emotional connection to their business, and they want to go up and right every month, and at the end of the day, it's just not going to happen that way most of the time, and so it's like when you do have the data available, it makes your job so much easier. I have to imagine than just being like, well, I think this or I think that. It's like, hey, actually, you answered the phone 45% slower than everybody else, so like
Oh,
that
not at
leads to
all.
this. Not at all.
That's a big one in ours. It's
Yeah,
kind of shocking to me. It's like, yeah, we just want to shut off advertising. It's not working. It's like, well, cool. I'll go review your last 90 days. I don't even need to review 90 days. I look at like the last like week. I'm like,
hey, we missed
"Hey,
37 leads
your
this
phone
week. What are
calls."
we doing? Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of times I hear like, oh, well, I called them back really quickly. I'm like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. The way,
Yeah.
at least in our industry, right,
Sure.
is people go out and they like pull up like 5 different websites and they just get one lead, like number after another.
Yeah,
whoever
and
gets
then
that first.
they're trying to cost everything in 10 minutes and then pick the one that's the cheapest most of the time. I would
Yeah,
guess.
and there's some survey feedback we've gotten where some people actually go with us or another competitor that was a little bit more expensive
Mhm.
because their experience was different. They
Yeah,
felt like it was worth the extra
yeah,
$20 a month
yeah.
or paying a little bit more on delivery because the experience that they got from
They
the
know what they're going to
inbound,
get.
absolutely, and they felt like it was
Yeah,
a top rate experience. So
yeah,
we've had to try and close the gaps there across
hmm
the brand, like
yeah,
from a compliance standpoint, operationally,
hmm
but also from a marketing standpoint. How can we automate some of those tools for our
yeah,
franchisees to make sure that they don't have to worry about every little thing because
yeah,
they got so much going on in their daily lives. They don't have to worry about
yeah.
all of it.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, have you guys experimented with any of like the AI call answering, systems or anything like that? Like, obvious question to ask based on what we're just talking about there.
Yeah, so we're actually chatting with an AI company called Yellow
Oh,
AI.
sure. Yeah, yeah,
We have a call with them on Monday actually, and looking at maybe doing a little pilot program with them,
yeah,
test driving it.
yeah,
Um, Also, I believe our current vendor for our digital marketing, Scorpion, they are currently doing like their own version of it. It's not, I think it's like
yeah.
in beta right now.
Sure.
So we just want to kind of see like what they both have to offer.
Yeah.
Obviously, keeping everything under one system like with Scorpion makes
Something
a lot of
about vendor
sense.
consolidation makes things easier. Yeah.
It's all great. But then also too, having a couple different hats allows us like that flexibility. Since it's not working right away, we can
Yep.
kind of go from one to the other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if we can tie that into our operating system to get immediate, because I think the initial idea was it was really basic.
Yeah.
Answer the phones for those that are not answering their phones,
Yep.
and then passing the lead on, getting a call back. But we're like, we need to close that gap faster. So
Yeah.
can we tie into our operating system to get inventory levels?
Yep.
We get actual pricing data,
Interesting.
give the AI and start to like test
Yeah.
drive flexibility
Let
and
the
say,
AI quote the user when they call in. Yeah, I love that.
oh, absolutely. And like, it wouldn't be a mandatory thing that we push on everyone. It's more of like hey, I know you're closing right now.
Yep.
You're below X threshold.
Yep.
And you should be look at this pilot program we just did,
Yep.
test it out, and then dive right into it if you feel
Yeah.
like we're going.
Yeah, because then I would guess your sell is, hey, on average, this percentage of them will close. This leads to that return on investment for you. Done, done, done.
I always do like a reverse engineer approach. Like, hey, how much
It's
do you?
the
How much,
only way. Because
yeah,
they have to set the expectation. But I want 1,000 leads. It's like, okay, so a lead costs this.
yeah,
Are you willing to do this? Or like, hey, if you want to close this many deals, you have to answer the call this many times. So you answer the call this many times. It's crazy when you actually backtrack into a human activity how much
absolutely.
expectation changes.
That and like you mentioned earlier in the call too, like you couldn't even service it.
Yeah,
Like it's like
100%.
someone's like, I need to quadruple or quintuple my leads. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you're closing at 25%. You only have one driver though. And it's not just about new deliveries. Like we have folks that move from one house to 3 miles later or three
Yeah.
miles away. You have to service those customer service leads or the return empties back. I'm like, the math isn't mathing here. When you start to walk them through it, like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Or a lot of times they're like, do we need to triple my budget? I'm like, no, you just need to answer your phone better.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
our follow up like?
Yeah.
Just because
Hey,
you can't
hear me out. We can fix this for free. That's yeah.
use the budget you already have,
Yeah.
and you're gonna trust what we're recommending you a little bit
Yeah.
more. And then from that point, then we can talk about expanding markets, upping your budget,
Yeah.
more strategies. Like let's just fix the basics first.
Yeah.
So that's where this connection really made a big difference.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes a ton of sense. I'm curious, obviously we talked about phone answering. We're sitting here today. It's December 17th. This episode will probably come out a couple months from now, just with our
Sure.
backlog. And maybe I'll check in with you a couple months from now when we're a
Yeah.
couple of months into it. What's on your mind for 26? Like as you're moving forward, I think you're technologically in a better place than honestly most franchise brands at your stage. So like, what's keeping you up as you think about the goals you're trying to hit in 2026?
I think so. We're hitting, I think it was like mid March of this current year, 2025, that we launched the API connection between GM1 and
Yeah.
Scorpion.
hmm
And from the initial like webinars to our recent annual conference that we had in San Diego last month,
Yeah.
showing the value of it and people like
Yeah.
really buying into it now. So I think like what keeps me up is like not letting that the
You got
momentum
momentum. Yeah.
keep it going.
Yeah.
Because my goal isn't just about getting the big guys already spending money to keep adding money on top of the pile.
Yep.
It's about getting the guys that are not spending almost anything
Yeah.
or they're just not spending enough to
Yeah.
look at that from a perspective of like, hey, trust the system that
Yep.
we've built here.
Yep.
All these tools here for you. And so I think it's about getting further by and not letting the momentum stop.
Yeah.
AI is a big part of it from an inbound.
Hmm.
I think a lot of what AI is talked about in today's world is like the creative side.
Yeah.
It's the workflow side from like creating content,
Yep.
which is an amazing thing to have. I think there's its disadvantages as well, but I think for us from a workflow, if we can crack that code and just elevate everyone by like 5 to 10%,
Yeah.
it pays for itself and then some. And then we just keep
Yeah.
tweaking it and going from there
Yep.
because maybe it's after hours, holidays, weekends,
Yep.
uh, overflow because you only have two people answering the phone and you have a call line for four people.
Yeah.
And maybe you're paying a vendor X amount of dollars to live answer,
Hmm.
but I've listened to those calls and maybe it takes 5 minutes for them to even answer the phone
Sure.
because the call
Yeah.
starts overloaded. There's no overloaded with AI piece. So
Yeah.
I think just like it took a while to get franchisees to trust the data that
Yep.
was via the API connection, we're going to need to get them to trust the AI side of it now.
Yep.
Because I think I can understand as a business owner, whoa, I don't want to start giving away containers because they got messed up or
Sure.
on a fake and robotic.
Yep.
So I think it's going to be, I think the buy-in is going to take time, but that would be, I think, the two big things there that we're going to
Yeah.
focus on for this year because we've built so much for the franchisees.
Yeah.
Buy-in is slowly happening, but we need it to happen a little bit quicker.
Yep.
So there's more faith in the system. There's no more, kind of issues there.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm always intrigued by that because I think it's what makes franchising really interesting, right? Like, and I think we think about it as a technology vendor ourselves all the time, which is like we call it the aha moment internally. It's
Yeah.
like it's a metric we really freaking care about. It's like how fast can we get everybody who's touching our software to the aha moment? And I think you guys kind of ironically have this same problem internally, right? Where it's like, hey, we are building these great tools, but there is this aha moment that you need to get somebody over the edge of for them to be bought in wholly. When you think about that for you guys, like what is that with an internal operating system? Like what is the moment where you're seeing franchisees be like, oh, duh, like this is what we should do. This is why we do it this way.
I think the aha moment, I think, unfortunately, isn't always aha in maybe that way. It's
Is
sometimes,
it potentially an oh shit moment?
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
when mandatory things start coming out,
Yeah.
when you leave them to their own devices,
Sure.
um, and you have enough case studies that you can showcase,
Hmm.
that's a big part. The other part of it, though, is if you have some case studies and you have other franchisees speaking on your behalf for corporate, that's a game changer. That's probably what
Yeah.
I'd say is the
100%.
oh shit moment, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's not corporate getting up there and
We're not
speaking.
we're not lecturing anybody here. It's like, yeah.
Exactly, and when you have other people speaking on your behalf
Hmm.
in the system, that makes a really big difference. So,
100%.
and most of the time, our biggest players in our network, they're always there. They're ready for a pilot program. They always want to push the leverage because they care the most
Yeah.
or the most,
They have the most to
dialed
win or
in.
lose, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely, and they always want to see, can I turn $1 into $1.25, and will
Yeah.
this take me there?
Yeah.
Heck, even if it gets me $1.15, we'll do it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So like they're always our biggest advocates, and when they can
Yeah.
advocate for us, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, tell me more about how your system handles that. Do you guys do a franchise advisory council? Do you have, regional groupings of franchisees that, you try to peer up so they can learn, grow together, do the thing? What does kind of like in-system education look like for you guys?
Yeah, so we're actually set up very, very different from much of the franchises. I
Yeah.
learned that out like later down the
Yeah.
road because what most people have as a franchise advisory council is actually our board. So our
Okay.
board
Yeah.
is actually comprised of three franchisees, our largest.
Really interesting. That's
Yeah,
definitely
really, really interesting, right? And
a little
the other,
higher pressure for you guys. I kind of actually like that. I love that.
little
It's
bit,
like,
yeah,
you
sure.
know what I mean? Put the feet to the fire from the top and the bottom.
Yeah, and then another one of the directors, um, early investor in Go Minis. His daughter is one of our largest, and the
That's
last
awesome.
one is
Yeah.
The original co-founder of Go
Oh,
Minis back in
easy. Yeah.
2002 when it was just it wasn't a full franchise system. It was a
Yeah.
dealer model. We were selling
Oh,
pins on
interesting. Yeah.
maps
Yeah.
and branding for it.
Yeah.
We didn't start franchising until 2012,
Yeah.
so it's made up that way. We did have an actual like a smaller, if you will, FAC that's more
Mm.
franchisee focused, right,
Yeah.
and driven and whatnot. We're kind of in the works. Our VP of Ops, Ron Weish, is kind of reworking that a little bit.
Mhm.
I think we all felt it was getting a little stale, so we
Sure.
needed to be able to have some people that could advocate better and hold people accountable to showing up to those meetings.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, we do have a little FAC there, but the board is the biggest one.
Yeah, I'm curious, like what that relationship looks, feels like, acts like, because I do think that is definitely unique in comparison to most. Like, does it change how you guys think you operate? Like, does it help kind of align everybody a little more centrally? Like, what are the nuances that you guys are feeling with that?
Yeah, I think I can't speak for other brands if anyone had anything kind of similar to this, but I didn't know any different,
Oh, sure,
right?
yeah,
So for me, I didn't know any different,
yeah.
and I got to know the three guys that are active franchisees. I got to know them on the vendor side,
Oh, sure,
making
yeah,
this with them.
yep,
So to me, when I heard that they were on the board and this is kind of how it works, it was just any other day for me.
yeah,
However, those three particular board members that are franchisees, they really see the big picture.
yeah,
Of course, they're worried about their own franchise brands,
yeah,
but they know that for this brand to go where it needs to go, from the third largest to
yeah.
the
That
second
is
largest
super interesting.
portable
Yeah,
one day or even higher, they have to be able to like take the franchisee cap off
yep,
the board member and for the betterment of the entire system. And those particular ones, just because there's obviously a little bit of a difference with them versus the other two board members, they're all in. And they really do take a good job of taking that hat off and looking like, hey, what's going to matter for everybody else?
yeah,
And what do we need to do as not only board members, but also as leaders in the franchise community for our brand
yep,
to get someone on board saying, hey, you got to try this AI or you have to get whatever it is set up. So
yeah.
we're really, really lucky in that way.
Yeah, no, that is super interesting, because I do think it is. In theory, everybody's on the boat going the same direction, but it is definitely very different. You're sitting there with one location, looking at your unit dynamics versus the strategic direction of the company as a whole for the next 5 years, I would presume.
That and they really understand the business, right? Because when you have
Yeah,
other boards that maybe they have zero knowledge of that industry whatsoever, they're obviously
yeah,
looking for the betterment of the company, but they
yeah,
understand the internal logistics
yeah,
that can make it a bit of a mess. So it's definitely a balancing act, but
yeah.
our board's great and
They
and
can call your BS a little faster than most would as well.
they absolutely could.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I'm always a big fan of like an active board. It's good hygiene, I think, for a company just to be able to have those with a kind of an externalish view to push down on, because everybody gets just so stuck in their day to day.
That has been a great experience for me personally too, because I
Yeah.
had no prior. You hear this term, board of directors. You watch Succession, and you whatever else. You see these things, but Chris Walls, our CEO,
Yeah.
actually allows us to come in like once a quarter to make
Yeah.
a presentation to the board, whether it be
Yeah,
in
dude,
person or
it's
virtually.
so awesome for your career, I think, as well. Like, I think I
Absolutely.
honestly I take it for granted at this point. Just like I used to be in the venture capital space, so I sat on a bunch of boards. I've helped run a few companies, and it's like you kind of like forget that this is like a high pressure, like weird, unique scenario where it's like, who are these overlords with all of the power and money? Like it's a challenging thing, but it's a great skill to have.
That and also for us though too, seeing it, get the buy-in from them on the
Yeah,
board, and then it kind of trickles down a little bit.
yeah,
That's been really helpful too. So yeah, it's been a great experience and kind of it allows me to look beyond my little marketing niche
yeah, and see
for
like,
the
hey,
whole company.
yeah, I love it from that perspective, because at the end of the day, everybody has a boss, and I think like when you're in charge of like a vertical of an organization, you don't get your way all the time. Like there are gives and takes, and it's like until you understand like, hey, the CEO doesn't hate me today. It's because he's trying to balance this objective, and that objective, and it
Yep.
just so happens this one's not priority for this quarter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I couldn't agree
yeah.
more on that.
I love that, and so wrapping to kind of our last session of the call of the podcast. I always like to do a little like quick hitters. Idea being, first thing that comes to mind for you. I now know a lot of things we have in common, so these questions are going to be a lot more fun than they used to be.
Okay.
But starting off, I always like to ask, what's overhyped in franchising right now? What do you think is a trend that's going to die in 2026?
Ooh.
You can
I don't
say
know.
AI. I
I
always
would,
like to
but I
tell
think
guests I could say AI, because I do think it's hyped, and I do
yeah.
think it's trendy. I do think it's hyper impactful. So I think both things can be true.
No, absolutely. I think the AI creation for content collateral,
Yeah,
um, people seeing that we need to continue investing with our graphic designers,
yeah,
with our visuals, because there's been so many campaigns I've seen from big brands who will
yeah,
not remain, I will not name out, not even franchise wise, just like big
yeah.
standalone businesses where I'm like, that
Huh.
doesn't look right.
Yeah,
And for them, they're thinking it's great. It goes to the bottom dollar, right?
yeah,
So I think that part I will continue to I can't get better the AI creation
yeah,
for content, but I hope that that starts to die because I don't want our graphic designers to be put left behind in the dust, you know.
Yeah,
But you can definitely tell when something's been
yeah,
AI created versus someone actually going through the painstaking process of creating in design or Photoshop or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. If you were to, have dinner tonight, what bottle of wine you going with? What do you imagine with dinner tonight?
What are or even tri-tip, which I didn't know until like growing up later in traveling country, and now everyone knows what tri-tip is.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
very much a California cut in Santa
Yeah.
Maria. Tonight, what are we having? Oh, we're having a Grenache Syrah Morvet blend, so a little GSM.
Little GSM blend from France. I love it.
Yeah, a little GSM blend. I think it's a great overall wine
Yeah.
because it has that fruit forwardness of the Grenache.
Yep.
It's got a little bit of
Yep.
silky smooth from the Morvet, just kind
And
of
then
tie
a
it
little
all
bit
in.
of the punch from the Syrah. I love that.
Yeah, I think you could easily push someone who's like only drinks light Pinot Noir and someone with like a heavy Cabernet. It's a
Yeah.
nice like meeting in the middle, and it's just
Yeah.
delicious. So
I,
yeah,
I love it.
Grenache Syrah Morvet is the way to go.
Love that. And then you're a golfer. Favorite club in the bag?
Ooh, you know, I'm so basic. I probably have to go with an 8 iron.
It's the one that
I
feels
know
comfy.
7 is the one that most people always say, but I love my 8 iron. I can chip with it.
Yeah.
Uh, I can hit like something like 180 to down to like 120 depending on the wind and what
Yeah.
elevation and whatnot. So I love a good 8 iron. How
Love
about
it.
you?
I I'm maybe weird. My 5 wood. I
Oh,
love it.
nice.
I love my 5 wood. It's just the club I can pull out of the bag. I can like
Yeah,
it's my 2 to 240 club depending on how hard I
yeah,
swing at it. I feel like I can hit a draw, I can hit a fade with it. So it's like
yeah.
it's one of
Off the
those things
deck,
where
tee it up off a fairway finder. I love it.
oh yeah, I will take a 5 wood off the tee like 60% of the time because I'm just like, hey, if I can go 240 in the middle of a fairway, the odds of me scoring on this hole are way higher than if I hit a driver somewhere.
Well, it's also interesting too when you talk to people that like are really getting more and more into golf. They're like, why does my 5 or 3 wood seem to go the same distance as the driver does? I'm like, well, because you're hitting it more consistently.
Yeah, you're making fantastic contact,
Yeah,
whereas the club face of a driver is massive and you're
you're
missing
not trying to swing out of your
it.
shoes on a 3 or 5 wood. You're just trying to get it out there, so you're making better contact. So
um,
I love a 5 wood. That's a great answer right there. I love that. Have
thank you,
you
thank
started
you.
making the switch to like a 7 wood like everyone else right now?
So I don't believe in it, and it's because my irons are probably the best part of my game, and so
Okay.
I carry a 1 iron, 2 iron, 3 iron,
No
um,
way.
and I'll pull the two out most of the time, but I can hit my 3 and 1 iron exceedingly well, and so
Yeah,
I think my sign of getting old is when I pull out a 7 wood and a 9 wood or a hybrid. I don't
sure.
keep them in my bag right now, so
Like once we
I
get to
kind
like
of
45, 50, then we'll talk about that conversation. But until then, I'm gonna
once I
continue.
throw my back out or something, then I'll pull out the hybrids and the 9 woods and stuff.
Which as millennials, I saw something on Spotify the other day that oldies, and it was like literally everyone from like the mid '90s. I'm
It's
like,
like Ja Rule, and you're like, oh
can we
god.
not do that, please? Usher is not oldies. Thank you.
Oh wow, I feel that. Well, that's our show. That was easy. And for me, I always like to like a good late night show host, David. Give you a minute or two. Sell. Tell people about Go Minis. Where can they find out about franchise opportunities? Where can they find out on the consumer side? What do they need to know about you guys, and where can they find you online?
Yeah, they can find us at. Thank you. They can find us at gominis.com.
Yeah.
We are the third largest portable storage
Soon
company
to be second.
soon to be second. We're in 40 states, 114 locations, predominantly in like the Northeast. And as we go more west, a little less populated, but yeah, they can find us in 40 different states. Yeah, so looking forward to helping everyone do all their moving, storage needs, renovation, restoration,
Yeah.
anything that they need. And thank
And
you
if
for
they're
having me on
interested,
the podcast today as well today. It's been
yeah.
a joy, and I'm glad we were able to finally make it happen.
I was just yeah. We for those listening, I think you've missed twice. I've had to miss one. Like this has been rescheduled some months, and what did we know? We were missing out on a friendship. We sit here. We
Friendship,
we love
well combined.
wine. We love golf. I'm assuming you love food. If you're cooking up a tri-tip tonight, you know what I'm saying. We've got
Absolutely.
we've got a lot
Yeah,
to
we've
deal
got
with.
a Christmas dinner. It has gone through like 12 edits and revisions. So a little bit of a nerd when it comes to that.
I love it. I love it. Well, David, thank you for being on. I love it. I do genuine impressed. Like I think building out an operating system like you guys have done is fantastic. I was excited to do this show because I'm obviously a tech guy, but I'm a big fan of like more people should be doing this, especially as code and technology is easier to ship now than it ever has been.
Absolutely.
And I think the problems in franchising are so unique and specific that it's hard to find vendors that are actually on the same page with you and get how data needs to flow and get the intricacies between the Zor and the Z. So thanks for like diving in and kind of talking more about that.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you so much, Paul. It's been a great,
Yeah,
great time with you.
absolutely. And for everybody else, thank you for listening to another episode. As always, this has been Behind the Franchise. I'm your host, Paul Ehlinger, and we hope to have you all on the next one. Talk to you soon.